And Lori,
Yeah.
we are now live.
Yay!
So, yeah. And so normally we'd have a couple of hours to really go over this because these topics, I want to be able to really explore it. And if we exhaust the topic in half an hour, then fine. But I expect that a lot of times we will be able to dig into it deeper. So, like lying.
Mhm.
It's a topic that most of us, we don't really explore it. We get taught about it when we're like toddlers,
Yeah.
and we don't go past that. And it is amazing how much we talk around it, justify ourselves, and so forth. And the reality is what does the Bible even say on the topic, if anything at all? And then if what does it say? I'd like to know.
Mm.
And then step into harmony with what the Bible actually says. I'm not interested in a bunch of pastors' interpretations and so forth. Not yet. I like to understand and study it for myself and really understand it, and then just to compare thoughts, compare ideas, then listen to a preacher talk on the idea, if they even talk about it.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, the topic of lying is very kindergarten, but masters of whatever craft are always masters of kindergarten first. So, out of curiosity, just literally out of curiosity, what do you think about the topic of lying?
Well, my understanding of it is, I mean, inherently rather elementary. So, I mean, it's the whole idea that, you know, the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not bear false witness. I've heard some people say that refers specifically to lying. However, I have heard people say that that means that if you're in court and you are there to um, talk about your neighbor, let's say,
Uh huh.
um, then you can't lie, basically. Like, you can't go up there and say, no, my neighbor did steal the rake, when in fact the neighbor had nothing to do with the missing rake,
Mm-hmm.
just as an example, right? Um, so you're like um, you're lying essentially because the neighbor didn't actually steal the rake, but you're saying yes, he did. So like that's the idea that you're bearing false witness in the sense that you're a witness in a court case and you lie up on the stand. But you can go ahead and if your neighbor comes over and says, "Can I borrow your rake?" You'd be like, "No, I don't have one." Then that's okay, even though you're telling a lie to that person. So like that's my rudimentary understanding of it.
And what I'm trying to figure out right now is how to even spell the word. Apparently, I don't know.
Lying.
Okay, so the definition that I was able to find from merriam-webster.com,
Mm.
it says an assertion or of something known or believed by the speaker or writer to be untrue with intent to deceive, to he told a lie to avoid punishment, an untrue or inaccurate statement that may or may not be believed true by the speaker or writer.
Mm.
The lies we tell ourselves to feel better.
Mm.
Okay.
Like I just typed in Google
Yeah.
lying and the Bible, like
Yeah.
that rudimentary, and there are just tons of Bible verses in regards to the word lying.
Okay. Let's do that.
I didn't go to Bible dot, or Bible
No, that's
Gateway.
fine.
This is just openbible.info. So It was the first thing that popped up.
Okay, so the first thing I have is Proverbs 12:22.
Yep, that's the one that I actually put up in the live chat. I put that up there. All right, so let's just
Suddenly
go to.
realizing that. So I'm just going to look it up. I want to see it. Proverbs 12:22. Well, I'll leave it on the NIV.
So there's also I went to Bible Gateway,
Right.
put in the word lying, Genesis 4, 6, and 7. So I'll
Oh,
put
sugar.
that up.
That's not what I meant to do. Yeah, I goofed it. Okay. I'll just get rid of this. Let's go to just Bible. Yeah, I'll put it here.
Oh, that's not what I
Okay.
was expecting.
Go to
So
this.
I don't know how to.
Share screen.
That's the wrong. That's the wrong one. That's like, you know,
Okay.
you have to really be careful about it. I'm seeing here because if you put up if you put just the word lying, they obviously have it as like, you're having a sleep,
Yeah.
but it's actually laying. When you sleep, you lay down. You don't lie down.
There it is. So I'm going
It's
to bring up
grammatically
this
incorrect.
Proverbs
22.
12:22. And it's really simple. It just says the Lord detests lying lips, but he
Yeah.
delights in people who are trustworthy. Just want to catch that in other translations.
Try the message. The message is really a nice translation.
I'll get to that first. I want the New King James Version. Because I do find the King James Version very difficult to understand. Hey, Dad. You're
Yeah.
bouncing, eh?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Getting myself into the mindset of traveling.
Okay.
Where's
I'm just
Dad
going to do this
going?
with Lori for a little bit, and then I'm going to head off to Tim's.
Yeah.
Where's Dad off to?
Heading up just yet. But,
Mm.
Rodney.
He
Hold on,
slept.
Lori.
Finally slept.
Yeah. So that must have felt good. Okay. Well, I'm going to get back to this. And it took us forever to get things set up, but now next time it'll be much faster. Okay, Larry, so what I read here is lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal truthfully are his delight.
Mm.
Oh, I like that better, actually.
I'm trying.
And I don't know to answer your question. All right, well, let's go with the message. I'm curious now what the message says.
Just trying to get it here. What the heck? Oh, there you are. Proverbs
There it is, the message.
12.
God can't stomach liars. He loves the company of those who keep their word. Yeah, it's all same thing. the Lord detests liars. That's it. It's nothing complicated. It's actually really simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's not complicated. Now let's just keep it going here. I'm curious to see what other Bible verses come up. Proverbs 6. It's Proverbs 6, 16 to 19. And this is how you do a Bible study. Want to study the Bible? Actually read it.
Yeah.
So this is the New International Version, and I will read it in the King James afterward, but just curious. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Interesting. Alright, let's see what the New King James Version has to say. Where'd that go now?
So what was that verse, Rodney?
That was Proverbs 6, 16 to 19.
Proverbs 6.
So now I'm just rereading it now in the New King James Version. These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift to running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among the brethren.
Mm.
Discord. Okay, that makes more sense.
Another translation's basically the same things. There are 6 things that God's hates, or it says here, loathes with a passion. For this is the
Okay.
message: eyes that are arrogant, a tongue that lies, hands that murder the innocent, a heart that hatches evil plots, feet that race down a wicked track, a mouth that lies under oath. See, that's where that's that up on the stand, right? Troublemaker in the family.
See, I'm liking this word discord because I'm thinking about our modern time right now, and there are situations where 2 people sit down who disagree, and they converse and they talk, trying to understand each other, and at the very least just understand. They may not come to an agreement, but they understand each other. Where those who are looking to create discord are those who go into a situation and all they do is just disturb and disrupt and bother and poke. They're not trying to learn, to understand, to find common ground. They're just there to agitate. And I never knew that the Bible even said anything about that. I know I dislike it, but I wouldn't have been able to point to a Bible verse for that.
Mm.
What was the one you read the Message, Lori? Can you read that last one again? I'm curious.
It just said troublemaker in the family.
A troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Is that saying the same thing?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're okay, sorry, I just gotta. So, um, oh, yeah. So, like, if, like you said, what was your translation? What was the word your translation
New
said
King
again?
James Version, it says, sows discord among the brethren.
Yeah. So, a troublemaker in the family, same thing. Like, I really believe that God wants us to have peace, understanding with one another, regardless of our individual point of views.
Hmm.
And it's not for us to necessarily say one person is wrong over what you think or believe, but at the same time, a troublemaker in the family breeds, uh, chasms between one another, no communication between one another, no respect for each other, and if you if you're wanting to have, like peaceful existence with either blood related or non blood related, it's best to not be a troublemaker. It's best to respect each other, uh, regardless of opinions or feelings or whatever. You know, you shouldn't. I don't think a person should back down on what they stand for, what they believe to be true. But at the same time, you shouldn't be bashing what you think or feel or believe on somebody else to have this quote unquote cohabitation. You know.
As I look at this, and it says one who sows discord, the one you said, um, I keep forgetting how it words it.
A troublemaker in the family.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the idea of people saying that someone else is wrong. I actually don't have
Yeah.
a problem with that at all.
Hmm.
But if they're doing it for the purpose of just um, create disruption and bother and problems so that
Hmm.
they can um, um, set themselves up as a superior in that situation to um, to create chaos so that they can become dominant in that situation. I find that's usually what people are doing. And so that's really fascinating. I'd never thought about that. But then up here, um, back to the topic of lying, it just says God does not like. He hates a lying tongue, a
Yeah.
tongue that knows what is true, and then specifically speaks what is not true for the purpose of deception. He doesn't.
Yeah.
He does not like it. So that's two verses on that alone. So
Hmm.
now I want to go further. I've never done this study before, and as rudimentary as it is, I've never done it. Proverbs 19:9. I'm sticking with the New King James Version because that's the one I know well.
Is
Wow.
there music playing in your background there, Rod?
Yeah, Dad has some music playing. Yeah, find that first before I jump in. Actually, no, you go ahead and say something first because I've said something first both times.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Okay, so next time we do this, it will be a lot smoother. That
Hmm.
is what I know to be true. Um, okay, so sorry, can you say that like one more time, Rodney?
So it says, a false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies shall perish. Proverbs 19:9.
Yeah, well, that goes. I think that ties in with I sorry, I'm doing like four things at once here, so my brain's kind of split. But that's what I was saying. Like the next time we do this, so what's the verse? Let me look up the
What were you
verse.
doing? It's Proverbs 19:9.
Okay, so Proverbs 19:9. I'm just going to read it myself. 19:9. So the person who tells lies gets caught. The person who spreads rumors is ruined. So that's the message version of that same verse.
Hmm.
So I think ultimately it boils down to that thing that I said before, and I may be just reiterating it, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you want to collectively live with one another, you need to respect one another, right? And a part of respecting each other is to not lie to one another, because when you lie, you disrespect yourself and you disrespect the other person, right? And not only that, man, lies are hard to remember. Like if you tell your neighbor I don't have a rake, and then your other neighbor comes over and he's like, "Can I borrow your rake?" and you forgot that you told the other neighbor that you didn't have a rake, and then you go and lend that rake that you have to the other neighbor, well, you've just been caught in a lie, and you forgot that you told a lie in the first place. So it's a lot harder to like live collectively and cohesively with people when you lie, because it's hard to remember and you're disrespecting people by doing so. um, it's like, yeah, so like, absolutely, you'll get caught in the lie because the other neighbor is going to come over and be like, "Hey, you told me the other day you didn't have a rake. What are you doing?" Right? And then the ruined part of that is that now you've lost two friends,
Out
right?
of curiosity, what do you mean by you disrespect them? How is it disrespecting somebody to lie to them?
Well, I don't know how to, like, I don't know how to put that into words, but it's like it's an action choice that you're making. So like, yeah, I honestly, I like, I know it's disrespectful, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to articulate that into words. So it's like, if you come over to my house
Mm-hmm.
and the rule of my house is you don't wear shoes, so you take them off because you're respecting the rules of the house and you're respecting the person inside of the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, when you respect somebody, you're actively choosing to do something that shows them how you feel about them. So, like, if you lie to somebody, then you're actively showing how you feel about that person. And I think that's where the disrespect lies, is like, you're doing something negative towards them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the disrespect. I don't know how to collectively
That's
explain
okay. I'm just curious.
respect, but it's an action. It's a
So then,
choice and it's an action.
let me try it at a different angle, because I think that the idea that we're proposing and the Bible is proposing is, one, God doesn't like lies, doesn't like
Yeah.
liars.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question could be, one of the questions that could be asked is, well, why doesn't he like the liars? Like, what's wrong with liars? And so I guess the question I'll ask you is, why is it wrong for me to disrespect you? Why can't I do that?
Because it breeds disconnection. Like, it breeds, um, like, yeah, it breeds disconnection. That's like the best way to just to I think to say it.
Hmm.
Like, if you want to be living collectively with people, um, and have connections and have relationships, then you want to do something not at the expense of what you believe in your foundation, like Jesus died to save the world. If
Mm-hmm.
you have to be friends with somebody and compromise that, then it's not worth it. But if your friendship upholds that, and that's the foundation, and then in your friendship you do stuff to separate yourself from that foundation that Jesus died to save the world, then that's where the disconnect comes. And God wants us together. God wants us to be community. God wants us to be right? Satan divides. Satan, rips apart. Satan brings division, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says that confusion does not come from God. Confusion comes from the enemy,
Right.
right? Lying brings about confusion, right? Because, like I said, it's harder to remember a lie than it is to remember the truth. So if you're telling the truth all the time, then you
Right.
don't have to worry about remembering what you said, right? It's easier to be together. It's easier to respect one another, and respect is an action. It's like, how do you explain love, right? It's really hard to explain love also, because love is an action. It's a choice. It's something that you do, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to explain it. But
Well,
you
it
can
is.
explain the action, you can explain what it looks like, but it's hard to explain it, like, okay, this, like, how
So
do you explain the
basically,
color red?
if we're to summarize all of that, we don't know what respect is. We have no idea.
Well, I think a person knows what it looks like, but most people don't know what love is either. But they can
Well,
explain what
like
it looks like.
to bring in examples. So we think that lying, we shouldn't do it, and God says that He doesn't like liars, right? And we're not lying to Him. We're lying. It would seem that we're lying to each other, and so He doesn't like that. And one of the things that we've concluded is that we don't. God doesn't like liars. He doesn't like lying, and neither do we, because it's disrespectful. But what we don't know is actually what respect is. We have no idea. But we do know that we don't like being treated poorly. What do you think?
Yeah.
And so I think one of the things that we need to figure out is what is disrespect and why is it wrong? Like, who cares if I'm disrespectful? What does it matter?
Mm.
We need to do a
So
Bible study
according
on respect
according
and
to the dictionary,
defining it.
it says a fulfilling of deep admiration for someone or something. Sorry. I really need to get like better glasses, because my computer screen is too far away and I can't read it totally. Um, I wish I could make the screen a little bit bigger, but I cannot. But it's showing, it's a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something, right?
Okay.
Um,
Anything else?
Executed, I think, is the word I'm looking for, by their ability, quotations, or achievements.
Okay.
Um, Esteem, regard, high opinion, acclaim, admiration, appropriation, approval. Yeah, my eyes are really bad. Favor. So these are just other nouns, right, to describe
Notice that
respect.
it. One of the things I did this study quite a while ago, and I need to do it again. Um, But if I'm dealing with a common person, just an average person, like between you and I, we're average people.
Oh,
And do we admire and esteem each other and things like this? And, well, what if I don't? What if I don't admire you? What if I don't esteem you? Why then should I have to respect you?
well, I think it goes back into the whole concept of just being able to live peacefully with one another.
Hmm.
Like, disrespect is really hard to swallow. Like, it really is. You can go into a store, never seen that person behind the counter ever in your life. If that person is like, "What do you want? What are you doing in my store?" You instantly feel disrespected and are instantly put on guard and are instantly not interested in dealing with that person. Right? I think there's a fundamental desire that God puts in all of us to be treated right. And not a Karen's definition of what right is, but like just a basic human concept of what being treated right looks like.
Right. Well, I've typed in Psalms 101, verse 7.
You said Psalms 101, verse 7.
Yes.
Let me get to that. Uh, Come on now. Alrighty.
So you've got the message there. Why don't you read it in in not your version, pardon me, Lord, but in that version, and then I'll read it in this version. Let's see what it says.
Well, unfortunately, the way that the message is set up, it doesn't give you individual verses. It'll just say like a little chunk verses together. So I don't know where verse 7 is in this thing. So I'm just gonna, you know, I just gotta read it here.
Okay.
My name, my okay. So it says in the beginning here. It says my theme song is God, love, and justice, and I am singing it right to you, God. I am finding my way down the road of right living. But how long before you show up? I am I'm doing the very best I can. I am doing it all at home. Okay, I gotta make my screen larger because I'm really having a hard time reading this damn thing. Rodney? Oh, did you mute me? I can't hear you anymore, Rod. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, so
What's happening?
So keep going, Lord.
Okay. Now I can read it properly because the font is big enough. Don't get old, people. That's all I gotta say. Okay, my theme song is God's love and justice. I am singing it right to you, God. I'm finding my way down the road of right living, but how long before you show up? I am doing the very best I can. I am doing it at home where it counts. I refuse to take a second look at corrupting people and degrading things. I reject made in canon goods gods. Stay clear of communication. The crooked in heart keep their distance. I refuse to shake hands with those who plan evil. I put a gag on the gossip who band mouths who badmouths his neighbor. I can't stand arrogance. But I have my eye on the salt of the earth people. They're the ones who want work who those are the ones I want working with me. Men and women on the straight and narrow. These are the ones I want at my side. But no one who traffics in lies gets the job with me. I have no patience with liars. I have rounded up all the wicked like cattle and herded them right out of the country. I purged God's city of all who make a business of evil.
Hmm. And then in this one, he who works deceit shall not dwell within my house, and he who tells lies shall not continue in my presence.
Ugh. Basically the same thing, yep. Just different
Well,
points of view, really.
like it's more like to the point and specific. But you were talking before about how uh, disrespect breeds uh, um,
Discord.
discord in the family, and that if someone's disrespectful, there's no peace, there's no harmony, and so the reason we should be respectful is for peace and harmony. For now, we will unpack that later. There's much deeper stuff to go with that. For now, that works. I mean, if we live in the same house together, living with each other peaceably is really, really important. But it looks like God also doesn't want to live with anybody who is deceitful,
Mm.
who tells lies, or as I was catching one piece in there, is someone who is constantly uh, trying to do evil, whatever that is. But he doesn't like to be with them.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Have you or I ever told lies? And do we think that we should be allowed to still dwell with each other? We'll put God out of it for now, since we have told lies.
Well, I have no idea how to answer that question because I can't answer for you. I can only answer for myself.
Answer for yourself.
But I mean, I don't know how you can put God out of it because
Well, I'm thinking that I'm taking this idea that God won't dwell with us. Okay, but what about each other? Should we dwell with each other? Have good relationship with each other if we're going to tell each other lies? You think that would be reasonable? Or what is reasonable?
well, I mean like I think it really depends on the individual person. I mean like if you don't want to be around a liar then no. But if you're okay with that person lying to you and you know that that's what's happening on, then I suppose that's up to you. Right? I mean it's all up to you, right? Like
Would you
I
put up with it?
myself I myself, I think I would put up with it for a period, like a time. But I myself, I'm like actually a rather forgiving individual, and
Hmm.
I tend to like people lie to me all the time, and I don't really I don't really pay it much attention for myself
Okay.
because like I don't know how to answer this without putting God into the mix because for me God is every part of my day. So it's like, you know, like I really don't know how to answer it without God in the equation. Like, I just don't.
If I was answering it for myself, I guess I would answer it this way. Would it be reasonable for me to say I do not want to spend time with, have friendship with, or have a relationship with somebody that is a liar? And I don't mean the once in a while kind of thing. I mean this is their regular habit. I would say that it would be reasonable for me to not have a relationship with that person based on this idea. And if I choose to engage with that person and have a relationship with that person, it looks like I'd actually be in disharmony with what God talks about. He says, "He who works deceit shall not dwell within my house. He who tells lies shall not continue in my presence." So he's
Well,
going to. So if you and I were to say, you know what, I don't want to be with people who are like that, then we would actually be in harmony with what God seems to do in the way that he conducts his life.
well, okay. I will refer you to just give me a sec here to get the right translation.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. All right. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is on the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth the fruits in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does will shall prosper. So, I mean, yes, it does go back. It like God tells us not to be in the council of people who are ungodly, right? And most people, like, I mean, I guess the idea is that people who lie are ungodly, right? But you know, hanging out and having a relationship with somebody who is lying to you, yeah, I mean, one could say based on the Bible text that yeah, you should just cut that person off. If they're going to lie to you, don't have them in your life because the Bible says don't hang out with people that are going to be ungodly,
Well, it says that
right? And that
it would be reasonable to decide you're not going to hang out with them anymore. If you were to
yeah,
stay with them, I think that's another conversation. But would it be reasonable to separate yourself from people like that? And based on what this says, God would do the same
yeah.
thing. He's not going to
Well,
spend time with
I'm
or
sorry,
that's.
Bob. I'm out of here.
take care, Dad.
Can you say hi to Dad for me?
Laurie says, "God bless, Dad."
God bless.
What verse are you in, Rodney?
Psalms 101, verse 7.
All right, Psalms. I just gotta find it. I made my screen big enough so that I can read the text, but now it's too big and I can't find my Bible verses. Come on, there we go. I thought Dad and I were gonna get together today. But... Okay, so, and it's the last one, right? Like it's chapter or verse 8,
Verse 7.
verse 7. Yeah. So, works in deceit shall not dwell within my house. He who tells lies shall not continue in my presence. Early I will destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all the evildoers from the city of the Lord. So yeah, it makes sense. Like, God is saying like, hey man, if you're gonna lie and be deceitful and be just nasty, yeah, you're not coming to my house.
No, I
But
mean,
there's a
go
whole
ahead.
conversation about grace and forgiveness and turning the other cheek and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's like, where do you draw the line? Because, like, I know God Himself walked away from things. Like, Jesus, it talks about, like, the whole city came out to meet Jesus and said, don't come to my town. So Jesus didn't. So,
Well, I would say this: we don't know. We don't know that conversation. We've never had that Bible study. Like, really tried to work it out. But what we can tell right now, based on just this, that one, God does not like lying. He doesn't like lies. He does not want. He's not going to allow somebody who engages in lying to have a relationship with him. It'll be obvious. There'll be some kind of barrier. Says you cannot continue in my presence. Now, where does grace and forgiveness come in all of that? Don't know. But based on this, if we wish to be in the presence of God, one of the things we'd have to really work hard at is not engaging in lying.
mhm.
And then in a relationship with another human being, I would argue that if that human being is full of lying, it would be reasonable to not want to spend time with them. It'd be reasonable to not have a close relationship with them when they're regularly into lying. And I can't push it past that because we haven't read anything past that. One of the things I'm really trying to work hard at doing is not reading into the text what is not there, but to take the text at face value.
Mhm.
Now, if we decide to reject the text, that's fine. I mean, that's another thing. But let's at least take the text at face value.
Mhm.
And that was good what you came up with, Lori. This thing here, I really like it. You typed in, just lying on the on Google, and you came up with this list of Bible verses, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's one, and I'll bring it up. I think you can. You see? Oh no, you can't see the screen. Okay. So this is Proverbs 12:19, New King James Version. The truthful lip.
I can see the screen, Rob.
Okay, you can. The truthful lip shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. What does that mean?
Well, it goes back to the concept of what I said. It's really hard to remember a lie. But when you tell the truth, you don't have to remember it. It's just the truth.
As I look at this, um, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, when you get into a habit of telling lies, yeah, it's really hard to remember what you even said to the same person. What exactly did you say? What was exactly the story that you told? And to remember that in detail, because you're not remembering from an event, you're trying to remember what you said. And memory, though wonderful and powerful, has a habit of slipping and getting foggy when it comes to things that happened quite a while ago. And what lie did I say? I agree with you, Lori. That's one reason to keep to the truth. It's just easier. But when I think about like the lips shall be established forever, or a lying tongue is but for a moment, the liar will get reward and get what he wants right now, right now. But it's lost. It will only last for a while, and then it's lost because the lies catch up with you.
Yeah, it's
But
temporary.
the truth is permanent. The truth actually is forever. And though the lie will have a moment in the sun, it's only for 15 minutes, and the truth shall rise. The truth shall be established and shall rise up and overcome and conquer the lies.
Mm.
If you connect yourself to the truth, then you get established with the truth as well.
Hey, Rod, what time are you going to go over to Tim's?
2 o'clock, so I'm waiting till it's 1:45, and then we have to end this.
Mm.
But yeah, you can see why I wanted, even though this is such a basic topic, and we're not covering anything that you and I haven't heard before or anything, but to see it for ourselves, like there's the Bible verse right
What
there.
does the next verse say, Rod? Can you click on read full chapter?
Oh no, I remember that's an image. Oh no, I can't do it that way either. I gotta keep going. I gotta stay over here. Whoever loves instruction loves knowledge, but he who hates correction is stupid. A good man obtains favor from the Lord, but a man of wicked intention he will condemn. A man is not established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous cannot be moved. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who causes shame is like rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsel of the wicked are deceitful. The words of the wicked are lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright will deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous will stand. A man will be condemned according to his wisdom, but he who is of a perverse heart will be despised. Better is the one who is slighted but has a servant than he who honors himself but lacks bread. A righteous man regards the life of his animal, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He who tills his land will be satisfied with bread, but he who follows frivolity is devoid of understanding. The wicked covet the catch of the evil man, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. The wicked is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous will come through trouble. A man will be satisfied with the good. A man will be satisfied with good by the fruits of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands will be rendered to him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is known at once, but a prudent man covers his shame. He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is one who speaks like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue of the wise promotes health. The truthful lips shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy. No grave will no grave trouble will overtake the righteous, but the wicked shall be filled with evil. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal truthfully are his delight.
Yeah, this was the first one I put up.
The prudent man counsels knowledge, but the heart of fool proclaims foolishness. The hand of the diligent will rule, but the lazy man will be put to forced labor. Anxiety in the heart of man causes depression, but a good word makes it glad. The righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is man's precious possession. In the way of righteousness is life, but in its pathway there is no death. And there was, now, where did I see it?
Like, I wanted you to read the next verse, like, after 19.
Yeah.
Because there's usually, like, a nice little, like, cliff note after
There
the
is
verse.
there is one who speaks like a pierced note. Where was it? The truthful lips shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but counselors of peace have joy. Yes, Proverbs does these little pieces, little nuggets, tons of nuggets.
But see, I wanted you to read that second verse. I wanted to know what it said afterwards because there's usually like a two combination verse package there usually. So, anyways.
It's good. It's a good chapter though.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. The righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray. And that's reminding me of what you talked about with that verse about not sitting in the counsel of the wicked.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Psalms 1:1.
it's just something else that when it comes to deceit and deceiving, those people who really engage in that never are able to hold on to true deep friends. There's always, even when they have their friends, there's a air of distrust and worry and stress because I told my lie, but I had really good reasons for telling my lie. My lie was really important. The wicked will always justify to themselves their deeds, and now they are worried about the friend who told them something, like, did they tell the truth? Because I know I lie, so did he lie? And since I'm full of deceit, then it's hard to imagine somebody else not being full of deceit. And somebody who is righteous really does choose his friends carefully. Who are the people I'm going to allow in close to me? And I'm not talking about people who don't know everything or don't know a lot. It's those who are wicked, to put it in a biblical word. And I'm really glad I read that. I hadn't ever looked at that. So one of the things I would say that one of the things that the Bible seems to be teaching about lying is we shouldn't do it, because we break our relationship with God,
Mm-hmm.
and we break our relationship with each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why the commandments are set up the way they are, right? The commandments are set up in a way that we love God with all of our heart and our mind and our soul, and then we love our neighbor as ourselves. Like, it's God first, and then it's everybody else. You break down the relationship with God, then you break down the relationship with other people. And that's why godless people, not always, but can have the tendency to have relationships that are very dysfunctional and very disconnected because they don't have that connection with God first. And even people that do have God first can also have disconnected relationships too. And it's often because of the same thing, the deceit.
So there you go. Well, I'd like to keep this going, but I don't have any more time.
Well, we'll know what to do next time. This was our first experience, so we can't really get too excited.